Hi, Lisa here with IVF Manifesting a Miracle, and today I'm super excited to be talking with Blair Nelson of Fab Fertility. Hey, Blair.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
So you're based in Austin, Texas, and gosh, there's so many things that I'm excited to chat with you about today, but you are the creator of Fab Fertility, the podcast, as well as your website. You also created a membership site with your friend Allie called
Yep.
Fertility Valley. And you're just doing so many amazing things for the fertility community. And I'm just so thrilled to have a soul sister conversation with you.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
So for those who don't know you, can you give a little bit of background information about yourself? And we'll get into your story too, but just kind of, you have outside work other than the fertility work that you're doing. So share with people that might not know, like, what's your other job that you do?
Sure. So, yeah, I feel like I have two full-time jobs right now.
You're pretty busy.
Yeah, it's so busy, but which is great because I guess I can say it's a little bit about me. I am type A, restless as hell. And this pandemic, I have been so thankful to have my business baby, Fertility Rally, to keep me busy on top of my full-time job, which is in commercial real estate. So I lease office buildings, just simply put,
Yeah.
which has been an amazing career for the city. Like since I've lived in Dallas and Austin, since I graduated, two cities that have just been growing like crazy, and commercial
Yeah.
real estate has been really good to me. But yes, so in my, my day job, I am always always out and about, always like with clients. No day is the same. It's always an adventure. And being at home every single day has been really hard.
Yeah, well, you
Um,
have a flexible job, right? Where you can get out and go for your appointments and
yes, well yes, and that has been so amazing as well. As
yeah.
yeah, since I don't have this like strict desk job, I have been able to more easily than most people been able to work in my appointments and everything.
Yeah.
But a little bit about me: I grew up in West Texas in a city called Odessa, which for people listening, the only way you would know it unless you grew up in West Texas is it's where Permian High School is, which is where Friday Night Lights was filmed and
Okay.
what it's about.
It's a good
The sh-
fact. I didn't know that about you.
yeah, so most people think of the TV show, but actually the book came out first, then the movie, then the TV show, but it's based on my high school. Let's see. I love animals. If anybody follows me on Instagram at Fab Fertility, they know that I have 16 animals.
16.
I have 10 chickens, which they're 5 months old now. I got them right before COVID happened. And so everyone thinks that I did it because I'm a doomsday prepper and I need eggs.
Oh my
But no,
God.
it was a project that I wanted to do before COVID. And I got them when they were babies. So they're not even laying eggs yet, except for one.
I know,
I,
right?
I
Mojo is that?
Mojo is actually my high school's like mantra or motto or whatever. So that's
I
another
love
tie
the
into
name
Odessa.
Mojo.
Um, and then let's see, I have a golden retriever who turns 5 tomorrow. I have a lab that's 5. And I have my 2 old girls, my dachshunds that I've had since college, Gabby and Gretchen Wieners. And then I have my cat Zeppelin. He's a ragdoll. If you don't know what ragdolls are, Google it immediately. They're the prettiest cats in the world. And then I have my flamboyant and beautiful beta fish, Elton John.
Oh my God. You have quite the family. See, you're a mama. You're already living the mama life.
Yeah,
You're taking care of
I'm
your
a
baby.
furry mama, that's for sure.
You are. Well, you've had a really long road on your fertility journey. I've been following you pretty much from the beginning. And really admire your courage in stepping out, sharing your story. And you and I both agree on the benefit and the healing effect of really being open with our stories
Mm-hmm.
and sharing. Like, what has it done for you to really just be open and give your
You
heart to this
know,
community?
I've always been a pretty open person, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've always found that talking about things I'm not one to keep something in, I guess I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
With infertility, I didn't really talk about what we were going through to many people until I had a miscarriage. So we had done our first round of IVF. We had done one transfer that failed, and our second transfer is when I got pregnant and miscarried. And I hadn't talked about any of it on social media.
Mhm.
Just a handful of my friends and family knew. And I just found myself, like, for the first time in my life, really in a spot where I couldn't relate to anybody. I didn't feel like anybody, I've never really had a feeling of isolation. And I felt so isolated and
Mm.
so confused. And I felt like I was being punished for something. And so that's when I decided to start sharing, because I thought, okay, if I get on social media, surely there's people that understand. I kind of started looking around on infertility hashtags and found all these accounts. I was like, wow, there are a lot of people talking about this actually.
Yeah.
So I started an account, Fab Fertility, which is my account still today. And I started it is completely selfishly trying to find support. And um, yeah, it was, I've never been met with so much support and love from complete strangers. And that's something that just continues to mesmerize me and inspire me daily, is how much love and support this awesome community shows. I mean, it's really rare on social media to have such a supportive community.
It really is.
You
Yeah,
know,
it truly
so
is. Yeah, I really wasn't on Instagram much during our journey, and it seems like it's grown so much, and so many more people are out there being open and sharing. Um, so I just applaud you for everything that you're creating and
well, thanks.
pouring your heart out. You mentioned you had a miscarriage. Can you share a little bit about your story? You've gone through multiple rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sure. Yeah. I've
yeah.
gotten good at condensing it. So I won't bore your listeners. So
No.
we started IVF in summer of 2018, and we have done 5 rounds total. We have been with 2 doctors. So we did our first 2 rounds with our first doctor. Our first round was like, I call it our Cinderella IVF round, because we got
Mm,
so many eggs and we got so many blastocysts. We got like 17 that we sent off for testing, which is just insane.
wow.
We got 4 back. The whole reason we're doing IVF is because my husband has a balanced translocation, which means that 2 pairs of your chromosomes equally flip-flop when you're conceived, but which makes you a completely normal person, and you would never know you had it unless you got tested for it.
Can you explain that one
Um,
more time? You said the 2 pairs.
so everybody has 26 sets of
Mhm.
chromosomes. A balanced translocation is when 2 of those sets flip-flop. So in our case, his number 1 set is in the number 10 spot, and his number 10s are in the 1 spot.
My
So
goodness. Okay.
he's a completely normal person
Yeah.
because they equally flip-flopped. But what happens a lot when you try to conceive is that they don't equally flip-flop. So let's say 110 hops to the 1s, but the 1s stay put. So then you only have 1 left in the 10 spot and an extra in the 1 spot. It just causes a lot of issues. People that are undiagnosed with a balanced translocation oftentimes have repeat miscarriages, because the body automatically recognizes that there's something off with the chromosomes. So a lot of people that are experienced, not a lot, but
Mhm.
sometimes when you have repeat miscarriages and
Mhm.
you don't know why, and you go in and get tested, you find out that you or your partner has a
Okay.
balanced
Is
translocation.
it a simple test that they do to find that out?
It's the genetic test, so
Yeah.
it's one of the more in-depth, like 9 or so tubes of blood. But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a blood test.
Okay. So you found that out
Um,
pretty quickly then in the beginning.
so, well, we actually had this. I mean, it is the craziest story, but my husband somehow, some way in the 80s, got tested in utero for this. And they found out that he had it before he was born, and that his dad has it as well. So I don't know. We're a little hazy
Okay.
on how or why they were prompted to test.
Hmm.
So we knew going in. Well, we tried naturally for a few months. Not even, it
Yeah.
didn't, like, the light bulb didn't go off that this might be information we needed until we decided to go see a doctor,
Wow.
when things weren't working, you know.
Yeah.
But we were lucky in the sense that um, our very first meeting with a specialist, we took the paperwork that we had in his, like, archaic medical file from his parents, and she was like, yeah, I mean, you would have ended up here eventually anyway, so you should be glad that you didn't have to go through months and months and months of heartbreak and failure. So we went from trying naturally to IVF in an hour.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we skipped the medicated cycles, skipped the IUIs, skipped
Yeah.
all of that, went straight to
Same.
IVF.
Yeah.
So we started IVF in 2018. Our first round, like I said, the Cinderella round, we
Yeah.
got 4 embryos back that were normal. And the thing with the translocation is it's a numbers game.
Mm,
You get your conversion rate from embryos to PGS normal is a lot lower than people that aren't dealing with
okay.
that genetic issue. So
And is this a common, I mean, how rare is this to have that?
I don't know how rare it is. It's not incredibly rare because all the
Yeah.
doctors we talked to were like, oh yeah, translocation,
Okay.
it's just, it's a lot. It's a marathon, I would
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
So, we transferred the first one. It didn't work. Transferred the second one. It worked. So that was in September of 18.
18.
And then we had the miscarriage in October. And that's when I started getting on Instagram. After that, we did an ERA with the protocol that my first doctor had me on, and it said I needed more progesterone, I think a full 24 hours more. We
Mm.
also did a hysteroscopy to make sure that everything from the miscarriage was cleared. And then in January and February, back-to-back months in 2019, we transferred the last 2 separately, and neither one of those worked. So that was really frustrating. And I think that's when it really hit us that, wow, like IVF isn't a solution that just works immediately,
Right.
which really sucked because so many people, I think, listening to this, if they've gone through IVF, probably felt the same thing. Like,
Right.
oh, well, for sure. Like, if I've gone to these links, surely it's going to work. And
Yeah.
then we did a second round with the same doctor. It was a disaster because we had a lot of starts and stops because of cysts. I was on birth control too long, ovulated through the birth control, then I had a cyst, all this stuff. So we ended up, like, for some reason, switching to a Lupron protocol, which my body hated.
Mm-hmm.
Long
Mm-hmm.
story short, we ended up, not because of, there's a lot of things. We ended up switching clinics and switching doctors for rounds 3, 4,
And
and
I
5.
know you're a big fan of that, aren't you?
Huh?
like,
Yeah.
like really feeling connected to your clinic and really.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is we felt and still feel so connected to our first doctor. Like, I still collaborate with her on a lot of stuff on
Oh, that's
social.
exciting.
Huh?
That's exciting. That's great.
Yeah. But we just weren't jiving with the clinic, and we wanted
Mm.
to see somebody who had more experience with the translocation because we were proving to be a really difficult case.
Oh, okay.
And so rounds 3 and 4 were interesting because we really enjoy our new clinic, or current clinic, however you want to say it. But those 2 rounds we didn't get. Our second round we made embryos, but both of them had an unbalanced translocation. Then rounds 3 and 4 we sent off 6 embryos total. Half of them had unbalanced translocations and half of them just had some other random chromosomal issue. So
Mm.
3 rounds back to back, and we could not make a normal embryo. So we were so frustrated. Luckily, we were able to get our finances in order and keep going. I mean, the question I get from a lot of people is, how in the hell
Yeah.
can you, one, emotionally and physically keep going, and then financially? And
Yeah.
it's, the answer is we've been fortunate to be able to afford it, but we've had to put a lot of other stuff on hold. Trips, house projects, purchasing our home. So there's definitely been sacrifices that we've made, even though we have been able to, quote, I'm doing air quotes, afford, is this being recorded? Can people see me or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm air quoting so you can see me, afford it or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, then I'm also, as Lisa knows, a huge advocate for advocating for yourself.
Yeah.
And I was just, after that 4th round failed, we were like, all right, we've been beaten down a lot here. Are we ready to give up? What is wrong? Like, do we need to do donor stuff? Like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
So at that point, we were kind of getting ready to throw a Hail Mary. And we had gotten, before we switched clinics, I had my AMH retested. And it was like, it had plummeted. So I had gone from like a 2.6 to a 0.8. And in the matter of like a year. And we were like, what is going on? This is so strange. Maybe this is why we're not making like, we just didn't know.
Right.
There were so many question marks going on with our treatment. So for rounds 3 and 4, we had like kicked up the doses of my meds big time with my new doctor, because he thought, like, he was looking at the lab results like, oh my gosh, like she is declining. Maybe it's premature ovarian failure, like whatever.
Yeah.
So and something just didn't seem right to me. I was like, isn't. So we're like, okay, we're going to throw a Hail Mary. I'm probably losing eggs like by the minute over here. We consulted with Cooper Genomics, who tests our embryos. iGenomics and Cooper Genomics are the two big labs that genetically test embryos.
Okay.
We talked to Cooper. They have all of our rounds in front of them, all of the tests. And they're like, I know you don't want to hear this, but like, you just got to keep going. This is bad luck. There's nothing on here.
From it too. It's like,
yeah,
it doesn't give me like a great feeling.
right. It's like, it could be worse. They could be telling you like there's no possible way this is going to happen. The bad luck diagnosis is also like, is it bad luck or do you just not know? Like, there's two different things here.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to look at trends to see if there was another chromosomal abnormality that kept popping up. That maybe
you were getting viable, healthy embryos, but not genetically matching chromosomes.
Right. So anyway, we're like, okay, well, they think we should keep going. Then we talked to 2 other doctors. We talked to a doctor at CCRM in Colorado. He said, keep going. We talked to another doctor in California, and she said to keep going. Our doctor in Austin said, if you can physically, emotionally, and fiscally handle it, keep going. So we were like, all right. So this was right before COVID.
Yeah.
And all 3 of the doctors, including ours now, wanted to retest my day 3 stuff to see if it's my FSH off, what's my AMH look like. So if we had decided if it came back low, and if I was like truly going into ovarian failure, we were going to go to Denver to do a cycle. And that was going to be our last one. My blood work comes back and my AMH is higher than it's ever been. So it's like, okay, like clearly that one reading was off and I'm not running out of eggs. So that was a big load off of our shoulders.
Right.
We felt like we don't have to throw the Hail Mary. Thank God we don't, because COVID's here now. And also thank God my clinic's not closing down. So
can you just, I mean, when you just are like sitting in this space of like what you've gone through, like all that you've gone through, and then a pandemic, and I mean, yeah,
it's a little crazy, but I will say I'm thankful. You know, I mentioned earlier that I'm like always, I'm overcommitted, always busy, always doing stuff, always driving around, like always. This has been good for me, having to chill a little bit, like stay put. So yeah, March and April.
And I love your approach to that, because, you know, not everybody adopts that kind of mindset. So,
well, yeah. Well, I think I'm also tying it to like March and April, we didn't do anything with infertility. We're already planning on taking a break because we had a bunch of trips lined up. And then we're like, well, let's take a break anyway, because I think my body appreciates a break. So then we did a cycle in May and had a wonderful cycle. We ended up sending off 10 embryos, which was more than our past 3 cycles combined. And I kind of attribute it to having slowed down, taking care of myself, working out every day, stuff that I wasn't making time for necessarily. I mean, I was always working out, but just being a little bit more relaxed and not always so stressed. So anyway, we are in the middle of round 5 now. We did another ERA because my new doctor has me on a completely different frozen embryo transfer protocol, which for anyone listening that's doing ERAs, I get a lot of questions. Why are you doing a second one? You already did one. Well, the ERA can only be used for that specific protocol. So since we're not doing that protocol, it doesn't matter. So we redid that last week, waiting on those results, and we should be having an embryo transfer. We got 3 normal embryos from the 10 and 1 low-level mosaic. So we have 4 And we'll be transferring at the beginning of August. So
I'm so excited, Blair.
never thought we would be here again.
I'm so
You
excited
know,
for you. Thank you for
thank you.
reviewing. You've
Yeah,
gone
of
through
course.
so many challenges, setbacks. I can totally relate to setbacks. And I think anyone that's starting this process or has gone through this can really relate to, well, if you're starting, you wouldn't know, but just the setbacks that can happen, and they likely do happen, and to find a way to roll with those challenges that are going to occur, for sure. But I do really admire you turning that really painful time, and I have not experienced a miscarriage personally. And thank you for commenting recently. I shared a post, and your comment when I asked what advice or words of encouragement would you give someone who's gone through miscarriage? And did I just want to repeat what like you said?
Sure.
You will get through this, even though your vision is blurred with tears. There will come a day when you can see clearly again. You will be stronger because of this. You're fucking amazing. And, you know, that's who you are. And so many women who are going through fertility challenges, we are strong women and resilient. And you turn that really painful time into this new purpose. I mean, Fab Fertility, your membership, all of that. I mean, look what's come from all of it that you've gone through.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I wrote an article on like Today Parenting about this. And the title of it was How My Miscarriage Made My Life Better. And which is, it's hard to even say that because it was such a dark and painful time, and it still is. Like, I still get choked up sometimes when I tell the story. And it just, I mean, it feels like so long ago too, which is just crazy. But it did change my life for the better. Do I still wish every single day that I had my daughter? Yes. But I would not have found this new purpose in my life. I would not be the person that I am. My husband and I have grown so much through all of this. We're way more like responsible people now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just so much good has come from it. And I think you don't have to start a podcast or a blog or anything like that to get purpose out of your pain. I truly think, like, back to you saying, why do you share? And then it's therapeutic to share. If you start sharing your story, your life will change for the better, because you will meet, so many doors will open, and you will meet so many people. You'll make friends. I mean, it's just,
I love that you say it's the community. It's the worst community to be in, but the
worst club, best members.
Yeah, I love that. And you started Infertility Rally, Fertility Rally.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit about that with your co-partner, Allie, right?
Yeah, sure. So Allie Prado and I co-founded Fertility Rally back in fall of 19, and it started as this idea. So she hosts a podcast as well. Hers is called Infertile AF, and mine's called Fab Fertility, like my Instagram account. And we met because we both started around the same time. She started a couple months before me, and I was on her podcast, and then she was on mine, and then we just kind of hit it off and kept in touch, as you do on the social media.
And you met through Instagram, you said? You just met?
We did. I actually came across her account for her podcast one day, and I was like, oh, I want to be on her podcast. And I kind of want to pick her brain about how she's getting set up and everything, because I was setting mine up. And that's how it started. And we just kept in touch and remained friends. And then, I don't know, we were telling the story the other day on a podcast, and neither one of us can remember at what point we switched from DMing each other to texting each other, or why that happened. But we started just texting all the time on the phone. And we both really had this desire to do an in-person event. She wanted to do one in New York. I wanted to do one in Austin, where, not like a summit or a conference, but more like a fun get together party almost. And we're like, let's do it together, and let's make it, two, what's the saying? Two brains are better than one. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Totally.
Anyway, whatever that is.
Yeah.
We were like, well, let's team up, because we think this could be really awesome. And that way we can, utilize are both of the relationships that we've built to make this really awesome. So
Yeah.
we started planning it. We secured a space in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. It's a development called Industry City. We started lining up programming. So we have like Dr. Natalie Crawford, who was my first doctor. We have Maddie Gutierrez, who is a plus size blogger who's gone through infertility. We have the founder of Y7 Studios, which is a big New York yoga studio brand,
Yeah.
and just to name a few. And we had a ton of others and still do. But anyways, so then COVID happens and we're like, okay, we're probably going to have to start rethinking the rally. Then we totally got sidetracked because we were like, why don't we do a membership site? Because then we can rally 24/7. Oh, and like the whole reason we came up with the name Rally is because we both wanted it to have a more fun connotation.
Yeah.
More of a lighthearted connotation.
Yeah.
And we both just fell in love with the word. One, because it was like a double meaning, rally together, but also rally like a pep rally, like something that's
No,
really
I
fun.
love it. Yeah.
And so anyway, we decided to launch a membership platform. So we launched that June 1st. And so it's a membership that you can join annually or monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And you get access to 4 virtual support groups a month. So one every Wednesday night. And then also 2 to 4, depending on the month, additional virtual events. We have bonus podcast episodes where we interview someone together. We have celebrity, like 10 minutes with. We did one with Jennifer J. Palumbo, who's a comedian based in New York. We did one with Samantha Bush, who a lot of people in the infertility community know, to name a couple. And then just we're constantly writing content, blog posts. We have a fun Dear Rally section, like Dear Abby, where Allie and I answer questions from people in the community, and just a bunch of other, like we have every week we do a cool shit of the week where we link 6 things that we're just like really liking that week.
Yeah, I love that.
So anyway, it's been really fun, and it's definitely a growing organism. We've had a lot of hurdles and learned a lot of lessons, and I never want to be a web developer. I'm just like
the tech stuff, right? I understand.
I was complaining to Lisa before we started recording all about the tech issues I've been dealing with this morning. So, but anyway, it's been super fun. If anyone's interested, love for you to check it out, fertilityrally.com. We have a free part of our site too, where we have a sampling of what you can expect on the membership site. So
no, it's so impressive. I'm just really excited. I'll be leading one of your coaching groups. And I'm really
yes,
part of
coming
that.
on.
What I love too is you focus really on the positive spin of fertility, and even your name of your website, Fab Fertility. And I'm just titles and names, like I applaud you for that, because I think some people with accounts, where it's a negative kind of connotation, and just how much words and what we tell ourselves every day, like Fab Fertility, or mine's IVF Manifesting a Miracle, like those positive like visuals. Your tagline is just because fertility is hard doesn't mean it can't be fabulous, right? And like that's something I've always admired about like what you bring is the positive spin.
I try to do, I think just generally speaking, I'm a positive person. Like I don't have, I mean, I might have a bad day, but I try to just make the most of every day. I don't know. I think I take after my mom in that way. Like she was always super positive and a really good influence on me in many ways, but that's one of them. And I do, for people listening that don't follow me, I definitely hit on the hard shit too on my Instagram. But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in pity yourself for a little bit and then pick yourself up and dust yourself off and move on, make a plan and be positive. Try to figure out what you learned from something. Because at the end of the day, we don't really have a choice, and we might as well learn something from it. So that's,
and believe me when I say too, it's like this isn't all rainbows. I mean, my goodness, like, you got to feel that pain and that hurt and honor those feelings and release it and cry it out and write it out. I'm a big believer in journaling, and
you're going to be so proud of me. So
Did you start?
I worked, well, so Lisa and I were talking because as she touched on a second ago, she's going to come on the rally to help to lead one of our support groups to talk about the miracle mindset,
Yeah.
which I'm super pumped about. But I worked with a fertility coach when I was going through my first round of IVF, and she sent me, I don't know if I have it in here. Yeah. She sent me 2 books, and it's just like totally me. One says Zen as fuck, and it's just really hilarious. Anyway, for people that are interested, but she also sent me a funny kind of journal type thing. So I dusted that bad boy off after we talked to Lisa.
Yay.
And yes, Lisa was telling me, she's like, you should really because you're right. I mean, writing it out is different than just talking about it. And I, write out a lot of my feelings on my Instagram posts, but I think it will be different too. It'll be a whole nother release. So I'm going to start doing it. You inspired me.
Yay. Well, I'm excited for you. It's just, there's a physical mind body connection when you are like getting it out of you, and you can crumple that paper up. You can burn that paper. Whatever you need to do. But I found it really helpful in going through our process. I mean, I've been a journaler my whole life, but turn my journals into a book, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's so cool.
Just kind of like how it's changed you, what you've gone through. I know you're so resilient, so strong. It's just, you're empowering others through this process. You're using your story. I mean, I know this is what you want to move into full time with your work. Any kind of just lessons or ways that you've been changed from this?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I feel like I'm still a control freak. I try to say, I'm trying to be move more into a recovering control freak, but I have realized the more this journey goes on that there are a lot of things I can't control, and to surrender to that a little bit. I used to freak out between every phone call, waiting on every phone call, waiting on every test result. And the more and more we've gone through this, the less and less I'm counting down the hours until I know I'm getting the call. Earlier, someone was asking me about my ERA test, and I was like, I guess I'm going to get it next week. Whereas I used to be like, it's been 7 days. They said 10 business days. You know what I mean? I would be so I'm a little bit more chillax about, because it doesn't matter if I stress out about it. They're going to come when they come. Right.
Yeah.
So I would say that. I would say, generally speaking, I'm just 1,000 times more empathetic as a human, way more or less judgmental. I think before I speak. I guess I've never considered myself to be in a sensitive population where I would get my feelings hurt about something.
Right.
But I mean, I've definitely in the past asked people, so when are you going to have a baby? And I'm sure I've pissed people off, but now I will never ask that unless it's my best of best friends. And
how do you handle that now when people ask you?
Oh my gosh. So I did a whole podcast episode on this, or I think I did a Fertility Fuck It Friday with Alex about it, which is a podcast episode, but it's for people listening, that's my fun lighthearted episodes. On Wednesdays are my serious interviews. We said we had several different options, and I think it just depends on read the crowd, who's your audience. But I love to make people feel uncomfortable.
Good.
And what I was actually telling people in our support group last week or 2 weeks ago, we had test results and anxiety, or no, I guess it was last week, because it was how to talk to your friends, family, and coworkers about your infertility. And I've turned it into this personal crusade to educate people about infertility when they ask me. And so I'd be like, well, if only you knew how triggering that question was, or, well, to be honest with you, I've been trying for 2.5 years and spent an ungodly amount of money. Do you want to hear more? If it's somebody that I feel like I can be a little snarky with, I'll say that. But if I'm trying to be a little bit nicer, I'll be like, oh, if only you knew, how, if only you knew how hard it's been, or, if it was only as easy as asking that question or something like that.
That's a good response to be like, yeah, I appreciate you asking, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because people, if you say like, oh, we're working on it, that's just enabling them to go ask the next
Totally.
person. So
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, but I also, like I said, I'm on a personal crusade.
It's an opportunity to teach people, educate people.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Really, it's none of their business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think that that's, it
A
goes
really
back to me.
personal journey, you know, I mean.
Yeah,
But,
totally. Like going back to me saying like, I'm just a more aware person.
yeah.
Aware that other people might be struggling with stuff that you have no idea about, and to really think before you ask a question about somebody's life.
Yeah,
So.
completely. No, I think you hit on something with surrendering, and what I write about is so much in that realm of letting go. And I wanted to share this little quote with you, if you don't mind. It was just
Sure.
something that I end at the end of my book. It's by a guy named Jack Kornfield, and it's, in the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? And how deeply did you learn to let go? And it's in that letting go where I'll talk more about this, but that magic and just surrendering to the powers that be, right? Trusting in this whole process and getting into that space of receiving, surrendering, letting go. You're going to enjoy this journey like so much more when we try to not control everything, you know, as hard as it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think
it taught me a lot going through this.
Yeah, I think too, with
experience.
letting go and the surrendering too allows you to continue to live life a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it's not as all consuming.
Completely.
Because people are like, how does it not consume you? Because you do Fab Fertility, you do Fertility Rally, you're going to appointments and everything. And yes, like a lot of my time is spent doing that, but I also do a lot of other things, and I don't let it, I'm not constantly clouded by all of that in my mind all the time. Like I still am able to go enjoy other stuff. But for a long time, it was all I thought about, and it was all I read about. You know what I mean? Like I would just be Googling obsessively, constantly.
But I think the key thing is this excites you, this work, and it's and you want to tap into that feel good feeling.
Absolutely.
You know, with clients that I work with, I'm enforcing that to feel as good as possible. Seek out the things that bring you joy, that light you up. So
right, absolutely. I was going to ask you. I started reading. This seems right up your alley. I started reading this book called Spirit Babies. Have you read it?
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I'm very familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read it and I'll let you know, because I'm trying to tap more into my spiritual side this go around.
Yeah, no, we can chat more about this, because one of the practices, and I'll share this with others who are listening, is to write a letter to your future baby.
Yeah, yes, you told me that. Yeah.
I did that, and we only had one embryo going through our whole process. We had to go through 2 egg retrievals to just get one healthy embryo. And having that faith that that one was holding on for us, you know, that's kind of where the name Hold On Baby, I'm inspired by that, because it was like I was holding on for that baby and holding on to myself through this crazy ride. But I really believe in, again, that writing. But connecting with the spirit of your baby that's out there. And I get kind of teary just thinking about it. And I have these letters that I was writing. I didn't know it was a boy or a girl at the time. We didn't find out till a little later on what our embryo, you know, the gender was, but it's powerful. And then you one day give those to your little one. Yeah. Just knowing how much they were loved and wanted, and just connected, like connecting before they're even here in the physical. I love that. You know? So I'm a big believer in the spirituality part of fertility and hoping to spread that message more. So I love it. I love it. Yeah. Let me know what you think about that book.
I will for sure.
But how can people find you? We talked a lot about it. Fabfertility.com.
All over the place. Yeah. So fabfertility.com. I'm the most active on Instagram, which is just at fabfertility. I come out with 2 podcast episodes a week, Wednesday and Friday mornings. Fab Fertility. I'm on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, all the places, whatever the Google Play or whatever it's called. Okay. And then Fertility Rally has its own Instagram, and then fertilityrally.com if you're not a member, you can definitely cruise around on the free site and kind of see what we're all about.
That's so exciting. And
Yeah.
I appreciate your time talking with me today.
Yes, of course.
Your story
Anytime.
and
Anything for you, Lisa.
aw.
Lisa sent me the sweetest gift. I have the rock that you and your daughter painted for me next to my bed.
Oh.
And I have yet to use my claw koozie because I'm not drinking right now. But
Well, yeah, you can use it for a non-alcoholic
a Topo
sparkling.
Chico or something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was fun to make for you,
It
and
was so sweet. I appreciated it.
well, and I'm a believer in having like a little symbol just to kind of help ground you through this.
Yes. And I can't wait to read your book. So soon.
Yes, don't worry, it's coming great. This is
Well,
my book, Hold On Baby, and you can find it on Amazon, and I'll get one for you, Blair.
oh, thank you.
But yeah, I provide personalized coaching support to those that are interested in receiving a little bit more, guidance through this process, and also creating some online support groups that are starting in August, just real small, intimate virtual groups for those that are interested. So message me. I'm at ivfmanifestingamiracle.com, and have a blog and YouTube as well. And I guess you consider this a podcast, but I haven't really named it as a podcast, but I need to take cues from you on how to.
Happy to help you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all the light you bring into the world, Blair.
Oh, thank you. Back at you.
All right. Love you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.